Welcome back, Milford community, to MPS Talks. I am Dr. Matthew Joseph, the Director of Digital Learning and Innovation here in Milford Public Schools, and I'm very excited today. As you've seen this summer, we have been bringing some of our leaders to, one, get to know who they are and get to know how they are going to impact the learning here in Milford Public School. I'm very excited for our guest today. She brings a wealth of background, a wealth of content, a wealth of humor into our district, and I'm very excited to have you get the chance to meet her. As you've heard me share a lot in our Milford MPS Talks, we talk about relevancy, we talk about real-time learning and the opportunities, and they've been brief to this point, but hopefully the collaboration will continue to increase, that I've had an opportunity to work together with our guest today. I can see all of those traits in her as she ascends into this new role of school leadership. So I'd like to welcome in our guest today, our new assistant principal at Milford High School, Miss Weinstein. Did I get that right?
Weinstein, but
Weinstein.
close. Yeah.
I wanted to get that right. I want to make sure the viewers heard it and have you say it. So if you can introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you came into the education profession.
Sure. First, thank you for your kind words. It's exciting to be here. So I have been in the field of education. This is going to be my 16th year.
Okay.
I spent my first 15 years in the Attleboro Public Schools. I started out as a classroom science teacher at the high school. I did that for 11 years, and then the science department head at that time retired, so that position opened up. And I was starting to feel like after my 10th year that I really enjoyed being in the classroom and teaching, but I felt like I wanted to do more. You know, like I was sort of like pulled to the idea of like helping teachers. So I felt like that position really would have created that opportunity for me. So I applied for it and got it and became the department head over in Attleboro. And from there, really started to enjoy sort of like educational leadership and also kind of administration. And so decided to go back to school and get, you know, a degree in educational leadership, and here I am, I guess.
Awesome. So where'd you go to undergrad? You said you went right to Attleboro after school.
Yeah, so I grew up in Canton, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And I graduated from Canton High. You know, I was a product of the Canton Public Schools. And I went to UMass Amherst to do my undergraduate work. And then, you know, as a biology major, like you don't really have too many options. I mean, I guess you do. You like become a doctor if you want. A lot of people like know that they want to do that. You know, you don't just like, I'll try this.
And then you just go ahead.
And then you just go ahead and do it. Like, it's not typical. Research and lab work is like another thing that a lot of science majors do. And like, I knew I didn't have any interest in that. Just like, I like people, and I feel like that can be really isolating. And so then like education was another huge opportunity or option for me. And I had done a little bit of like professor, like teaching assistant work when I was at UMass, like in the math department, and I really enjoyed it. I liked working with the students and trying to help them out. So I decided to go forward to try to become a teacher. So I went and did my master's right away, and then got the job in Attleboro.
Excellent. So you said you started to get excited about doing some school leadership and started to look outside of the classroom. What are some of your leadership traits that you hope that you are bringing to the Milford Public Schools?
Well, I think that for me, some really like, I think obvious kind of like groundwork a leader needs is organizational skills, and sort of like their own personal intrinsic motivation, which are things that I believe that I have and that I'm really good at. But I think a lot of other things that make me a good leader is my desire to constantly learn about myself and to constantly be the best that I can at what I'm doing. And I feel successful when the people that I feel like I've helped become successful. So that's why I'm in it, because I want to help others. And so I think that's really important. You know, I think sometimes leaders can be seen as sort of in it for themselves because they want like the glory or whatever, but that's not why I'm in this. I joke with people that like I'm not a lead singer, I'm not a lead guitarist. Like I like being the bassist. You know, I kind of like, I'm the rhythm section. I help you guys move along, and you know, so I think that having that quality of not really like wanting to be at the forefront. I mean, I will when I need to be. I think it's important for leaders to say, like, this didn't go well, like, I'm at fault for that. But I think that more importantly, when there are successes, you're willing to give credit to others. So that's something that I really feel like I'm good at. I also feel like I'm really good at sort of listening and being able to, like, coach people. I don't have an agenda. It's not like I want to see you do this. I want to really, like, work with people and kind of find a common ground. What works best for them and how can I improve whatever craft it is that they're working on.
So as the bass player in Milford High, although
I wouldn't call me the bass.
No, I'm just kidding. But
I would question the music program if I was the bassist.
And I'm not musical at all, but know that the bass instrument also always keeps pace. It seems like that the beat is there, it keeps pace, and you are entering into a leadership team that is also fairly new. Principal Otland came in last year, also assistant to the principal, Tucker, who we'd like to get back on here as well for the first time. So how are you going to take those steps to start collaborating with this new team and coming in as the new leader in that team?
Well, I think that the fact that the Milford High leadership team is still fairly, like, young in terms of their working together was something that was really attractive to me, because I feel like, you know, as someone that's sort of starting out their career in educational leadership, I really wanted an environment where I feel like I'm not just trying to sort of find my place in an already established team, but, like, find a team that was really still trying to find themselves as a cohesive group. They've done such amazing work in just the 1 year that they've been together, but I really felt like I sort of fit in with their vision and where they wanted to go, and that I could really contribute right away. Whereas that might not have been the way I would feel if I was stepping into a leadership team that had been together for quite some time. So for me in this first year, it's just a matter of, like, really being observant. And I really want to immerse myself into the community and really get a sense of where we are really successful, and then, like, where maybe I can, you know, be helpful and bring some new ideas. So that's really important for me in this first year. You know, what does specifically the leadership team need from me, but also, like, where can I fit in the greater school community as well? Awesome.
You started talking about the school community. So families are a big part of the Milford community, and there's high family engagement in athletics and academics and drama and in music. What are some steps that you hope to take to engage with families and meet them probably for the first time at school?
I think the biggest thing is really to prioritize my communication with them. And so for me, what that means is, you know, when I get a voicemail or when I get an email from a parent, really responding to them in a very timely fashion. And so if I can't get the answer for them that they want right away, I need to still be able to communicate with them that, like, I got your email, you know, I got your voicemail, I understand your concern, and I'm working on it. So I think that is such a simple thing that you can do that really, really goes a long, long way. So that is important to me, is to prioritize that. And I think the other thing too is just being a part of the community, making sure that, like, I'm visible at football games and you know, the play and, you know, concerts and whatnot. So I, you know, envision doing all of that stuff too. I think that's really important. You know, this isn't the type of position where you show up at, you know, 7:50 in the morning and then the bell rings at 2:20 and you're going home. You know, you really need to show your leadership in all capacities in and outside of the building during school hours.
Awesome. So one of the things I learned about you early on is you're a runner. Is that so? Do you enjoy? What are some of your hobbies that
my friends would say, like, you're a runner, but I think that, like, I run in my spare time.
Well, you
were
going to do a marathon. Is that correct?
No, I haven't. I did complete my first half marathon in May.
So I'd say that's a runner.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't get, like, a super respectable runner time, but, like, yes, I did complete my first half marathon, and I'm running my second half next month. So I guess I do run. I run. I'm not a runner, I run.
You run, you know, okay. And so you must have a training regiment and different things to stay on.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are, you know, they might, like, look at programs online and, like, follow a specific regimen. Like, I do everything on my own. I do what feels right. I owe a lot to my sister, who's a personal trainer, and so after I had my first child, I wasn't really kind of happy with where I was at. So I reached out to her, and so she started helping me get an idea of, like, what type of exercises might be good for me. And then after working with her for some time, it was, like, obvious that, like, I could probably handle it on my own. So I just, I run, and then I'll switch it up and do like some cross training, like light weightlifting and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, it's kind of like my personal passion, I guess.
Well, that's first of all, that's impressive.
Well, thank you.
And it talks to your dedication. It talks to how you have a plan and stick to it. How you take some of those skills into this new position, not only a new school, a new position in leadership. Some of your efficiency skills that will be seen this year at the high school to impact student learning, impact staff development. What are some of your strategies for that?
Well, for me, like, it's all about sort of the end goal, and accomplishing what you set out to me is one of the most satisfying feelings imaginable. And I think that that's how I approach both my personal and my professional life. So, people ask me all the time, like, I don't know how you run, it's so miserable, like, I don't know how you do it, it's painful, it's exhausting. I'm like, you're right, it is. But for me, it's worth that discomfort, because when I get to where I want, when I cross a finish line or I finish a run, like, that feeling and that moment is so worth it to me that I'll go through, all the difficulties to get there. And so as a leader, for me, I have that same approach. So it might be messy to start, and we might be uncomfortable with like change or doing new things, but in the end, if we all have a common goal and we stick to it, and me as the leader can keep us focused, we're going to feel so accomplished when we get there. And so that sort of philosophy that I have, I think, can be empowering, because a lot of times, people want to, I don't like the phrase give up, but people want to like take a break, or maybe not work as hard as we set out to. But I think as the leader, it's your job to empower and inspire people to keep going, and that end goal will be worth it.
Right. So the finish line, it's far off for you for this year. You're really just at the starting point. But what would a finish line goal look like for you? What are you hoping to accomplish this first year in this position?
I think a finish line goal for me in this first year is to really be able to have people see me the way that I want to present myself, as someone that is here for the students first and foremost, and that I want them to be successful and comfortable and feel like this community is a place that they also want to be. They want to look forward to coming to school every day. And so that's paramount for me. I want people to know how much I care about their student and their success. And so I think that comes with prioritizing communication, giving of my time during the day if a student needs to sit down and talk, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's a huge part of my finish line for the year. Another huge part of the finish line for the year is to really sort of like press myself to learn as much as I can about the staff and their needs, and to really empower teachers to want to take risks. That's a finish line for me. So if I can get a teacher to like try something new that maybe they wouldn't have tried without my influence, I feel like that's another accomplishment that will be huge for me this year. Well,
that's a great goal, and I know part of taking risks is trusting in the person that you work with, and building that trust. And how are you going to take those steps with the faculty to be visible, to build trust, to get you to the goal you just stated of building that at the end, that taking risk? How are you going to build that trust and visibility with some of the staff at Milford High, or all the staff at Milford?
I think by being humble, I think by being completely honest, open, and real with people, I think is really how you do it. You're right, like building trust is really hard, but I think that people trust someone that they see as raw and as someone who is in it for the right reasons. So I know that that's like not like a real simple answer, but I think you do that by, not just sitting behind a desk behind a closed door, not just being someone that can like finish paperwork in a timely fashion, but it's really like during the school day, I'm not the priority, right? Like the school is the priority, the students are the priority, the faculty that I'm working for the priority. And so I can take the time for me afterwards. And I think that really needs to be what I show and what people see of me. During the school day, she's there for me. She'll drop anything if I have a question. And that's the person that I am and want people to see in me. As we go forward.
So we talked a little bit about music and running and the metaphor sense of it, but I know being a leader, being in a school, it could be a marathon, but it also could be a sprint too, every day. How are you going to balance some of that long range goals with day-to-day tasks, and what's something that you bring from either as the department head or a leader in Attleboro that you're going to put in place for yourself here so that you can balance those sprint days that you got to get like 20 things done, but keeping the big picture goals
I
open?
think you can't really take, it's a really difficult question because I feel like you just get into a point, like you get into a rhythm where like there are ebbs and flows, right? So there are moments where like things are sort of just flowing and you can prioritize like, here's my list of long-term goals. So today's a day where I can start like knocking these goals off. But then there are days like there are ebbs where it's just things pop up and you're not really sure what's going on. I think for me was like I never took myself too seriously. And you know, it's so easy to say like, oh, this is the worst day ever. I'm really struggling today. Like there's so many things going on. It's so crazy. But like, yeah, isn't that like, you could say that in any moment of every day. I think really being sort of the calm among the people that you work with is really something that'll help on those days where it feels like a sprint. And I think always sort of reminding people of what the end goal is always really good too, because it's so easy to get caught up in the heat of a moment, in the craziness that ensues on any given day in a high school. And so if you can always remind people what that end goal is, I think it can keep them focused and on track for what they want to accomplish. And so you always have to have that perspective.
Well, that's great. And I know one of the hardest things that happens in our profession is people don't like to share success stories or talk about themselves, so I know that. But at the same point, the goal of today for us is for the community to get to know you. So I'll phrase it in a way that doesn't put you on the spot.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
I know that we both actually worked in Attleboro at the same time.
We
didn't know each other.
We didn't know each other. Yeah.
But if I called Attleboro and said, tell me a little bit about our new AP, what are some of the great things that they would say?
Oh my goodness. I think what I think I'm confident that they would say about me is that I'm passionate about what I do. I think that they would say that I'm very intelligent and that I really focus on building relationships, positive relationships with both the students that I work with and the faculty that I work with. I think they'd also say that I'm very driven. I'm my own worst critic. So I like to say that, if you've got a criticism of me, I'm sure I've already talked to myself about it. Like, I already know I'm good. And maybe to a detriment too. Sometimes people can put too much pressure on themselves, and I think that sometimes maybe I do that or I'm guilty of that. But I think that those would be the qualities that they would probably speak of first and foremost, which I'm proud of. It's the way I hope to come off and come across to people. So I think that they would be able to say that about me.
Well, that's great. In the short time I've known you, I've seen all of that, and I'm very excited for you to start here. So we talked a little about your background, your leadership. We talked a little bit how you're going to make that connection with your leadership team. Talked about how you're going to engage families. There's 1,200 students at Milford High School. What would you like them to know about you as a leader, as a person, as someone who's going to support them in their academic career, if it's 1 year or if it's 4 years as a rising freshman?
I think I want the community to know that this is where I want to be. I already feel very welcomed by everybody, and I'm really excited about this opportunity. I want them to know that I already think that they're doing great things in this community, and that I can only hope that they'll embrace some of the ideas that I have in hopes of, leading them to even more success. And I just want them to know, some of the things I already kind of reiterated about what I feel like the people in Attleboro know of me, that my priority is the success of the students, and that what I do is always going to be with that in mind. So I think that those are the important things that they should know.
Well, that's great. And one of your end goals was taking a risk, and you took a big one today.
Being here today.
Did. So you are
not
walking the walk. So I want to thank you for coming in. You took a risk. It was kind of texting like, is this gonna happen? You're like, yeah, we'll make it happen. So I think from what I've seen about being personal and intelligent, you also walk the walk with taking risks, and as you did today. So we're very excited as you start your time here and look forward to that time. So for our Milford community, as you start to get to know the leaders as both instructional leaders, as also people themselves, I just want to thank you for the welcoming. You heard it today, talking about feeling welcome. I know that I have felt welcome. I hope that these interviews that you've had a chance to see get you to know that the community here, the education community, is here for your students first, and we're going to create that environment within. You heard today about the high school, to make that a learning environment for all of you. So just know that the leaders that are in place here are doing the best that they can to make this the best district in the Commonwealth. And I want to thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
And keep tuning in to MPS Talks. And if you have a topic or someone that you'd like to see come on in, shoot me an email at mjoseph@milfordma.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Milford Schools or myself at Milford_Tech. And keep watching and have a great start to the year, Milford community.